My name is Angie Starrett, and this is a critique of Horspool and Lang's 2012 study entitled Applying the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, Student Perceptions, Behaviors, and Success Online and Face-to-Face. The authors follow a scholarship of teaching and learning approach. This is a movement in post-secondary education in which scholarly inquiry is made into student learning with the hope of advancing the practice of teaching by making research public. The authors follow a scholarship of teaching and learning methodology of empirical analysis, reflection, and action. So what are they hoping to measure? The study aims to quantify student behaviors, primarily motivation for online courses and the amount of time spent studying, as well as student perceptions. This included technical readiness, communication and collaboration with both instructors and peers, and perceived teaching and media effectiveness. Lastly, the authors hoped to measure overall student success as determined by the final course grade. All three sections were for Principles of Microeconomics at California Polytechnic Institute. So why? What were the authors hoping to learn? Well, again, going back to the scholarship of teaching and learning approach, they were hoping to advance the practice of teaching by enabling more effective online designs for learning. So who was involved in the study? 74% of the online students volunteered for the survey, and 90% of the face-to-face students volunteered. So what exactly did they volunteer for? Each volunteer took a 21-item Likert scale survey. The authors chose to go with a 4-point scale so as to force the students to choose one side of either agree or disagree. The authors also attempted to hold as much identical across the three sections as they could. They used an identical instructor, an identical text, and identical content. Unfortunately, other logistics must adapt to the specific format. Both the online and face-to-face courses had an in-class midterm and final exam. Both of the formats used a research paper, and both of the formats students were required to take weekly Blackboard quizzes. Now, with the face-to-face lecture, students had 3 lectures every single week. For the online courses, they had modules, 12-minute videos to watch, along with Applia, which is an interactive homework system to help students learn how to relate graphs and supply and demand curves. Lastly, face-to-face classes had optional office hours twice a week. On the flip side, the online courses had bi-weekly mandatory synchronous Q&A sessions with the professor delivered through Adobe Connect. So we can see that it's not very identical. What was the biggest motivating factor for why the students chose an online format? Schedule flexibility. This is well documented in the literature. What were student perceptions? Both online and face-to-face students perceived high-quality communication with the instructor. However, online students conveyed limited peer-to-peer collaboration and communication. What about study time? Online students claim to study more at home than their face-to-face counterparts. However, when the traditional students' study time at home was combined with the time spent in lecture, then they spent more time studying. The authors plan in subsequent semesters to monitor study time in Blackboard. They also plan to implement group projects in the online format using Web 2.0 technologies for collaboration. So what are the problems? Well, the problems lie in the results, even though they sound amazingly logical. The authors report schedule flexibility as the reason why the majority of the students chose the online format. And in defining schedule flexibility, the majority of the students cited avoiding the commute. Well, why would the students want to avoid the commute? Well, Cal Poly is in East LA. Does this generalize to the student living in Clemson? What about student perceptions? The instructor offered optional office hours to the face-to-face student, but required biweekly online meetings for the online student. Is this really an apples-to-apples comparison? Even though both rank the instructor communication as high quality, it's not the same communication that they're ranking. Secondly, with the peer-to-peer collaboration, the survey only measures the existence, not the desire of collaboration. Horspool and Lang already plan to implement group projects in online versions in the following semester. However, they have not asked the students for their desire of peer-to-peer collaboration. Again, they only measured the existence of it. Lastly, the authors report study time with the study time perceptions that online students do not study as much as the traditional students when lecture time is combined. What's the problem here? Do you count lecture time as study time? As an instructor, I would definitely say no. Too many students, as I say, sleep with their eyes open, or better yet, sleep with their eyes closed during lecture. And this in no way is equal to constructive time spent studying. What's my critique of the authors? No discussion of reliability and validity is mentioned of their 21-item survey. We have no idea if the results of the survey are stable and consistent across the 3 sections, and we have no idea if the survey actually measures what it's intended to measure. In future studies, they really need to do more in showing the reliability and validity of their survey. Thank you.